In this example, you're asked to solve a formula for the indicated variable. In this case, that variable is h. One method that you can use to decide a good first step to isolate your variable is first look at what's being done to the variable on that side of the equation. So like in this case, h is first being divided by 100. That would follow the order of operations. Divide by 100. And that's that order of operations. The next thing that you would do is negate that. So I guess technically we're dividing even by negative 100 if we want to get very specific here. So let me make a little bit of space for that. And then the last thing that you would do is add t sub 1 to that value. And I'm adding t sub 1 just because, well, I'm assuming that t sub 1 is some positive number. It doesn't have to be. It could be a negative number, but it's not like there's a subtraction sign in front of that. Now, to undo these steps, I'm going to go in the reverse order and using the inverse operations. So instead of dividing by negative 100, we would first subtract t sub 1 because I want to undo the last thing that was done. Think of it kind of like you're wrapping a present, right? If you wrap a present, you may wrap it up in wrapping paper first, and then you put a bow on top. Well, then when you unwrap it, you take the bow off first, or the ribbon off first, then you unwrap the paper last. So it's like that. It's like we're unwrapping this present. So the first thing that we're going to do when solving is we're going to subtract t sub 1, and then we're going to do the inverse of divide, which is multiply, and we're going to multiply by negative 100. So let's see how that plays out here in this particular example. So we analyze the order of operations. We're going to go in the opposite order, but with the inverse operations as well. So our first step would be subtract t sub 1 from both sides. All right, that's a good first step. We did it to both sides, so we know that we've kept the balance in the equation. We come to the following next equation, equivalent equation here. Our next step we identified was multiply both sides by negative 100. So times negative 100, all of this times negative 100. Sorry, I'm going to try to squeeze that in here. So negative 100 divided by 100 with this negative sign out front, all of these things become 1 or 1h technically. On the left side of the equation, I can distribute that negative 100 if I need to. I can write negative 100 t sub 2. Negative times a negative becomes positive 100 t sub 1. Now, if you'll look at how that compares to what was written here in my math lab, first of all, notice, you can write h equals. We can change left and right side of the equation. That's no big deal. That's still an equation. It's still an equivalent equation. They just chose to write the positive coefficient first, the 100 t sub 1. So that way then they could say minus 100 t sub 2. But both of these answers would be correct. So you could either write it like this or like this, and both of those are solved for h.